After months of lies, my wife admitted that she was moving in with her ex-boyfriend, demanding that I sell our house. She said, "You're a pathetic failure. He's the love of my life." She hissed, tearing up our photos, and her sister laughed. I signed the papers, and then my inbox exploded with 19 emails begging for help as their plans fell apart. I never thought I'd be sharing this here, but I need to get it off my chest using a throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm Warren, 33, and my wife Kira, 31, just destroyed our 7-year marriage in the most brutal way possible. In retrospect, the signs were evident for months, but I was too preoccupied with our daily schedule to notice them. It began with minor things. Kira started working late, which wasn't out of the ordinary for her sales job, but then she changed all of her phone passwords. We always had an open phone policy, and when I brought it up casually over dinner, she snapped that I was being controlling. That should have been my first serious warning. Next came the spending, as our joint account began to display strange charges from pricey restaurants I had never heard of. When I brought up her boutique shopping spree and salon visits during work hours, she would dismiss it with evasive excuses about client meetings or treating herself because she deserved it. The real red flag was when she began going to the gym at strange hours. Not our usual gym, but a fancy new location across town, and getting her hair done in clothes I had never seen before. She would always turn it around on me, saying, "You're paranoid, you're suffocating me. I can't believe you don't." As I was fixing our kitchen sink last week, everything blew up. Her phone buzzed on the counter, and a preview of a message from Grant appeared. I was shaking as I read it, and he still doesn't understand. Grant was her ex from before we met, the person she always claimed was just a good friend when he commented on her Instagram posts. I waited for her to come home, and she arrived at around 9:00 p.m. I stood there watching this stranger in my wife's face as she pulled out a folder from her bag and said, "I want you to sell the house. Grant and I are moving in together next month. His place is too small for us." She looked like she had just stepped out of a photo shoot when I showed her the message. There was no denial, no tears, just a cold, cruel laugh. "Well, I guess you're not as stupid as you look," she said, throwing her bag onto our couch. "I guess you're not as stupid as you look" is in both of our names, so I said, maintaining my composure, "I'm not selling." She actually rolled her eyes, saying, "You can't afford the mortgage alone, Warren. Don't be pathetic, sign the papers. Take your half and go rent somewhere cheap. It's what you're good at, settling for less." Then, her sister Winnie appeared unexpectedly the following day, tearing up our wedding photos. "You were always temporary," she hissed, tearing them up. "Kira told me everything." She smiled smugly and said, "She's too good for you always. Grant could give her the life she deserves." So I signed the paperwork and left. I remained silent, giving them the impression that they had betrayed me, and I watched Kira's triumphant smile, but they don't really know me. They don't realize that I've been documenting every suspicious charge, cruel message, and manipulative move while they were busy congratulating themselves. They also thought I was making my own plans. I'll post updates as things develop because Kira and Grant believe they've won, but they don't know what's coming. Thank you for your support. To answer some common questions, I've already spoken to a lawyer. No, we don't have children, and yes, I'm doing okay, not great, but focused. I'll post updates when I can. But things are about to get interesting. Edit 2 because people are asking this. Happened in a medium-sized city in the Midwest. First of all, I want to thank everyone who supported my previous post. As I mentioned, a lot has happened, and Kira has no idea what's coming. Here's what I've been up to. Over the past few months, Kira thought I was idly wandering around the house, but I was actually recording everything. Every late-night work meeting, suspicious purchase, and nasty text from her and Winnie. I let them believe I didn't know anything while I was moving my pieces into place. Last week, I had coffee with Kira's. I showed them screenshots of Kira and Grant's conversations, joint account statements that showed thousands of dollars spent at hotels, and pictures from my neighbor's doorbell camera that captured their afternoon meetings at our house. Her mom broke down in tears, and her dad just sat there staring at his coffee. "We raised her better than this," he said repeatedly, before dropping the bombshell that Kira had borrowed $20,000 from them last month, claiming it was for our house. "Her parents have always treated me like a son," so I felt they should hear the truth straight from me. Renovation, they now know that money went to a deposit on a new place with Grant. This is where things get interesting. You may recall how Kira kept pressuring me to sign the papers for the sale of our house. But it turns out that Grant's big partner position isn't as stable as they claimed, as they pretended that his company has been losing clients and that he needed the money from our house sale to pay off his own debts. I learned this from an old college friend who works in the same industry. I let Kira believe that I was desperate to keep the house, playing right into her arrogance. The real chess move is that I've been recording all of my conversations with Kira and Winnie from single-party consent state last night. They came over to discuss the house sale, and when I mentioned wanting a fair split of assets, their mask of civility quickly slipped. "You're lucky we're letting you walk away with anything," Winnie said, sneering. "I've been in talks with a rival firm that has been stealing Grant's clients. I start next week. They have no idea that I've already transferred the majority of our joint savings into a different account, all of which are legally documented by my lawyer, or that I've been gathering proof of how KIR has been using company resources to assist. With your pitiful ass." Kira jumped in and simply signed the paperwork. "Warren Grant's friends are already laughing at how simple it was to push you out, and they have it all on tape, including their thorough explanation of how they planned this months ago. The best part is that Grant is unaware that Carmen, his secretary, whom he has been secretly seeing on the side, promised Kmen the same future that revelation will strike at the perfect time. This morning, Kira was still acting like she was one, so she put a post-it on the fridge that said, "Pack your stuff by Friday." I smiled, took a picture of it, and added it to my file. I'm not acting like the distraught husband they expect me to be, and I'm not causing. The real game begins tomorrow, and I have 19 emails ready to send to her boss, Grant's partners, their mutual friends, and everyone else who needs to know. I'm just quietly moving my pieces into place tonight. KIR is going to a work dinner with Grant, so when she returns home, she will find the house empty. Not because I've moved out, but because I've moved everything valuable to storage, including all the evidence of her affairs, financial manipulation, and the recordings that could destroy both of their careers. Truth, but before I send them, I want to watch them panic as their flawless plan begins to fall apart. Everyone is saying, "Yes, I'm done being the nice guy," and they want to play games and edit. A number of people have inquired about the loan papers I mentioned, but don't worry, I'll cover that in my next update. 2. Reddit gave you enough drama to fill a season of reality TV. Grab your popcorn and remember those 19 emails I mentioned. I sent them yesterday morning by noon. Kira's The Ideal Little World was on fire, and it began at 8 a.m. with a yelling phone call. When Kira's boss opened the email that showed evidence that she had been giving Grant private client information, she received a frantic voicemail. "What the hell did you do?" she asked. "They're calling a meeting about my ethical violations. Fix this." I didn't reply, instead watching my phone light up as the dominoes fell at 10 a.m. The email that Grant's office received contained screenshots of him promising Carmen the same future that he had promised Kira. In reaction, he banned Kira's number, and at 11 a.m., genuine Prince Charming was there. Winnie called and yelled that I had damaged her reputation at work. It turns out that her bosses didn't like that she had used company time to help organize her sister's affair. "You are a pathetic, vindictive little man, and we should have destroyed you months ago." The best part was when Kira stormed into our house during lunch, still sporting red mascara and keys. She screamed and threw her purse at me. "I'm suspended while the investigation is ongoing. Grant won't return my calls. What did you send Carmen?" I sat there calmly drinking my coffee and telling the truth. "Kira, isn't that what you wanted? No more lies. They're saying that I might be sued for the client information." She was hyperventilating. "Grant claims that he never promised me anything and that I misunderstood. It's funny how karma works." I pulled out my phone to record, and then she lost it and began throwing things. The real show began when Carmen arrived. It turns out that she chose to confront Kira face to face, and their screaming match in our driveway had the neighbors peeking through the curtains. "He told me that you were the desperate ex who wouldn't let go, and he showed me texts where you were pleading with him for attention." Kira's face turned white as he said, "I'm the desperate ex who ruined everything," and she tried to slap me. It was all captured on camera. I have a year's worth of messages about our future together, along with pictures of him ring shopping last week. Winnie arrived trying to control the damage, But she walked right into Carmen and revealed that Grant had trash-talked both sisters to his office friends for months, calling them useful idiots who helped him climb the corporate ladder. Kira collapsed onto our front steps, crying about true love and having the hotel receipts and gifts that he promised we'd be together. Betrayal. Winnie attempted to console her, but Kira pushed her away and said, "We didn't raise you to be this person." By the evening, their parents had arrived, and Kira's dad looked at her as if she were a stranger. "Remember that $20,000 loan? They're demanding immediate repayment," he said quietly, and it seemed to hit harder than all the screaming. The last blow was when Grant sent Kira a formal message through his lawyer to stop all contact and to cease any shared property claims will be disputed, swinging between pleading and threats, saying, "We can fix this," and then, "I'll make you pay for humiliating me. But I'm not done yet. Remember that house they wanted me to sell? Well, guess who's going to accept an offer that's much higher than asking price? They're trying to repair the damage on social media, but the screenshots are already public, and their friends are picking sides, most of whom aren't picking theirs. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with a real estate agent, and then my lawyer has, for the final update, remember me, the guy whose wife Kira tried to force them to sell their house so she could move in with her soulmate Grant? Well, trust me, karma hit them like a freight train. Let's start with today's entertainment. Kira showed up at my new apartment at 7 a.m., pounding on my door and making some interesting suggestions about our shared assets. They wanted to play games and game over edit. Thank you for the awards. And yes, I kept receipts for everything. Warren, please, we need to talk about Grant's engagement to Carmen after everything he proposed to her. I saw her have a breakdown in the hallway while my neighbor poked his head out and she yelled at me about how I ruined her life. It was very classy, but let's go back in time. The last 3 months have been interesting. Remember that house they wanted me to sell so badly? It sold for $40,000 more than they asked for. Kira attempted to dispute it, but her lawyer advised me to. Grant's perfect life fell apart spectacularly, and Carmen didn't just leave him. She took half of his clients with her. It turns out that she had been keeping records of his shady business practices, and now he's working at a much smaller firm, desperately trying to rebuild his reputation. But it gets worse. Remember Valeria, Grant's former business partner, whom he screwed over years ago? She needed that money badly. She's brilliant, successful, and has some interesting stories about Grant's past schemes. We're having dinner together again tomorrow. Winnie's karma hit her too. She had been disparaging me to everyone who would listen until someone leaked the recordings of her conspiring with Kira to drain our accounts. Last week, she attempted to add me on LinkedIn, but was denied with a screenshot of her pathetic text attached. Kira is now living with her parents. She tried to make a scene when she saw me and Valeria at her favorite coffee shop. Priceless, but Valeria simply smiled and said, "Oh, is this your ex, the one Grant used to laugh about?" Kira's attempt at reconciliation wasn't the first time. 2 weeks ago, she sent a lengthy email explaining that she made a mistake and that we could start over. I replied with a single screenshot of her message to Grant explaining that I was only a stepping stone and that her parents still check in occasionally. Last week, her dad called to inquire if Kira was still in contact. The local rumor mill is working overtime, apparently, because Kira's engagement party was quite the show. Kira crashed it, threw a drink in his face, called Carmen some names, and security escorted her out while she screamed about promised futures and wasted years. "I would consider taking Kira back," he said, adding that she had learned her lesson. I played him the recording of Kira boasting about how she married me because I was safe while she waited for Grant to make it big. It's nice to be with someone who values honesty and actually carries their own weight in a relationship, especially after seeing Kira's face turn purple when she saw us together at the grocery store chef's kiss yesterday. Winnie tried to warn Valeria about me being unstable and vindictive, but Valeria just brought up those leaked screenshots of Winnie. I also joined a rock climbing gym where I made some wonderful new friends who are unaware of my past drama. Where Kira's single and living with her parents. Grant is engaged to the woman he was cheating on. Winnie lost most of her friends, and I'm doing better than ever. Edit. Since people are asking, yes, I have security cameras. I don't answer messages, and Valeria is aware of the entire situation. He seems to be planning to help Kira empty our accounts, but it seems like he's just good at exposing liars.